The phone rang at exactly 2 a.m., shattering the silence that had settled over my home. I had spent years believing retirement would finally bring peace, but that single call changed everything. My 15-year-old granddaughter, Emma Carter, was crying so hard she could barely speak. "Grandpa, please, help me," she gasped between sobs. "I'm at the police station. My stepmother hit me." But she told everyone I attacked her. Dad believes her, not me. Within 20 minutes, I was driving through the deserted streets of Boston, praying there had been some terrible mistake. Instead, I was heading straight into the darkest case I had ever encountered. Not in a courtroom, but inside my own family. My name is Richard Bennett. I was 70 years old and had served 40 years as a Superior Court judge before retiring. I believed I had witnessed every kind of deception imaginable. That night proved how wrong I was. After my wife passed away, my greatest comfort came from my son, Daniel Bennett, and my granddaughter, Emma. She was gentle, artistic, and spent every Saturday volunteering at a local animal rescue. She had inherited her late mother's kindness. Everything changed after Daniel married Vanessa Cole. She was attractive, polished, and always knew exactly what to say. Yet something about her smile felt rehearsed, almost mechanical. I ignored the warning in my instincts because my son seemed happy. Looking back, that was the greatest mistake I ever made. Police Captain Thomas Reed met me at the station and quietly escorted me inside. The first interview room broke my heart. Emma sat wrapped in a grey blanket, trembling from head to toe. Her split lip was swollen, dried blood marked her chin, and angry bruises circled both wrists. She looked terrified, not dangerous. The second room painted a completely different picture. Vanessa sat comfortably in her chair, pressing a tissue against a tiny scratch on her forearm while pretending to cry. Yet every time detectives looked away, her tears disappeared instantly. After decades of watching witnesses perform in court, I recognized fake emotion immediately. She wasn't grieving, she was acting. Then I found Daniel. The confident heart surgeon I had raised looked exhausted. His face was pale, his hands shook constantly, and his eyes seemed strangely distant. Instead of comforting his frightened daughter, he stood firmly beside Vanessa, defending every accusation she made. Captain Reed explained that Vanessa claimed Emma had attacked her with a pair of gardening shears. Prosecutors were already considering aggravated assault charges. The story made no sense. I requested a private conversation with Emma. The moment we were alone, she collapsed into my arms. After calming down, she revealed what had really happened. Vanessa became furious after Emma accidentally dropped a drinking glass. She grabbed her by both wrists, dragged her into the basement, and locked the heavy door, fully aware that Emma suffered severe claustrophobia after losing her mother years earlier. Panicking in the darkness, Emma found a pair of gardening shears and used them only to force the old lock open. The instant she escaped, Vanessa scratched her own arm, threw herself onto the floor, and screamed that Emma had tried to murder her. By the time officers arrived, the trap had already been set. After reviewing Emma's injuries, I persuaded Captain Thomas Reed to release her into my custody while the investigation continued. She remained silent during the drive home, staring through the passenger window as though every passing streetlight reminded her of that locked basement. Even after we reached my house, she startled at every unexpected sound. It took hours before she finally trusted the silence enough to speak. What she revealed chilled me. Vanessa's abuse had not begun that night. For months, she had insulted Emma, isolated her from friends, confiscated her phone, and punished her for the smallest mistakes. Whenever Emma tried to tell Daniel, Vanessa somehow twisted every incident until Emma appeared disrespectful or unstable. The pattern was too perfect to be coincidence. Yet another mystery disturbed me even more. Daniel had never been gullible. Throughout medical school and his career as a respected surgeon, he had been calm, analytical, and nearly impossible to manipulate. Now he forgot conversations, struggled to focus, and defended Vanessa no matter how unbelievable her explanations sounded. His hands constantly trembled, his memory failed him, his energy had completely disappeared. Something wasn't right. The following morning I contacted Harold Pierce, a retired forensic investigator I had trusted during countless criminal trials. Although officially retired, Harold agreed to help without hesitation. We began examining Vanessa's past. Within hours, disturbing information surfaced. She had spent months researching psychiatric commitment laws, guardianship procedures, inheritance regulations, and multi-million-dollar life insurance policies. Even more alarming, Harold discovered that after his first wife's death, Daniel had established a trust worth nearly $10 million for Emma's future. Suddenly, every piece of the puzzle started fitting together. If Emma could be declared mentally unstable and permanently institutionalized, someone else could gain control of the trust. If Daniel died unexpectedly, Vanessa would stand to inherit an enormous fortune. The assault accusation had never been about protecting herself. It had been the opening move in a carefully planned scheme. Only one question remained unanswered. Why had Daniel changed so dramatically? I invited him to lunch under the excuse of catching up. During the meal, he struggled to remember simple details, lost his train of thought several times, and looked physically drained. When he stepped away to answer a phone call, I quietly placed his unfinished coffee cup into a sealed evidence bag. Harold delivered it to a trusted private laboratory. 2 anxious days later, the report arrived. The results turned my suspicions into undeniable fact. Daniel had been consuming tiny amounts of a rare neurotoxin for months. The poison caused confusion, memory loss, exhaustion, and impaired judgment, explaining every strange decision he had made. This was no longer a custody dispute. It was an attempted murder investigation. The laboratory findings transformed the investigation overnight. Captain Thomas Reed immediately secured search warrants, while detectives quietly placed hidden cameras inside Daniel's home. Every move had to remain secret. If Vanessa suspected she was under surveillance, she would destroy the evidence before anyone could stop her. Fortunately, we did not have to wait long. 3 mornings later, investigators watched live footage that erased every remaining doubt. Vanessa calmly prepared Daniel's breakfast before removing a small glass vial from the back of a kitchen cabinet. She measured several drops of clear liquid into his coffee, stirred it carefully, then smiled as she carried the cup toward the dining room. Moments later, her phone rang. The hidden microphone captured every word. "Once the girl is committed," she said confidently, "the trust becomes easy to control. Daniel won't be a problem much longer." That single sentence sealed her fate. Captain Reed immediately gave the arrest order. Detectives entered the house before Daniel could drink another sip. Vanessa tried to pour the remaining coffee down the sink, but officers stopped her in time. The toxic liquid, the hidden vial, financial records, insurance documents, encrypted messages, and months of internet searches painted a devastating picture. The entire conspiracy had been planned with chilling precision. Vanessa intended to poison Daniel slowly until his health collapsed beyond recovery. At the same time, she planned to convince doctors and the courts that Emma suffered from dangerous psychological problems, ensuring the teenager would be placed in a psychiatric facility. With Daniel gone and Emma declared incompetent, Vanessa expected to gain control of nearly $10 million before disappearing with the money. She underestimated one thing: the truth. When Daniel watched the surveillance footage, every illusion shattered. He realized the woman he loved had been poisoning him while manipulating him into abandoning his own daughter. He broke down completely. Emma rushed toward him, and they embraced through tears. Neither spoke for several moments. They simply held each other, mourning the months that had been stolen by deception. Vanessa was later convicted of attempted murder, child abuse, fraud, conspiracy, evidence tampering, and multiple felony offences. She received a lengthy prison sentence, while Daniel recovered through medical treatment and counselling. Emma finally found peace, returning to school, painting again, and spending weekends at the animal shelter she loved. Watching my family heal reminded me of something I had learned after 4 decades on the bench. Real evil rarely announces itself. It often arrives wearing a warm smile, sharing your dinner table, and calling itself family. It waits patiently, believing lies will last forever. But lies always leave footprints, and sooner or later, justice follows every one of them until the truth finally stands where deception once did.